The Oracle of Luna is a podcast with me, Bridget Engels, as your host. Here we have conversations with real live, present-day goddesses who are actively and courageously doing their magical work in the world. Each episode is a bewitching journey with relevant discussions on topics such as Wiccan pagan spirituality, writing, culture, magical practices, art, ritual, and the craft in its many forms. Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Oracle of Luna. Today, I am very, very excited to have the wonderful Danielle Blackwood as my guest. Danielle is an author, astrologer, therapist, and witch. Welcome, Danielle.
Thank you so much for having me, Bridget. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, so how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good. It's quite beautiful. It's one of those classic winter days, blue and white, and we got some snow, so that's really nice. It's been a good Sunday. Yeah.
Ah, that's beautiful. That sounds great. And you're up in Canada, is that right?
I am. Yes, I am just up in BC. So I live on a little island called Salt Spring Island, which is, I can actually see the American San Juan Islands from the foot of my property. So super close to the border. Yeah.
So close to Vancouver, BC then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Lovely. All right. Well, I'm just going to jump right in and start with some questions about you. So here we go.
Sure.
So Danielle, how did you become interested in sacred astrology, esoteric studies, and your spiritual path?
Oh, wow. Okay, that's a big question, but I love this question though. So it really basically all began when I was about 13 years old and I discovered a book on tarot in a free book bin in the library, which opened up a whole world that I didn't even know that I was searching for. So in the small town that I grew up in on Vancouver Island, actually, there wasn't anywhere back in those days that sold actual tarot cards. So I cut the pictures out of the book and made my very first tarot deck that way with these little pieces of paper. So so when I ran away from home a few years after that, I found my way to the iconic spiritual bookstore Banyan Books in Vancouver, BC. And when I went to leave the store, I noticed there was a sign on the bulletin board for astrology classes. So I began studying with a local astrologer and I eventually became her apprentice. And at the time, I could not wait to be older so that people would take me more serious as an astrologer. But I spent whatever extra money I had on books. I did tarot readings for friends. And I also learned to do charts by hand, so without a computer, which I don't even know if I could do now. It was such a long time ago.
Wow,
So
that sounds really
yeah,
complex.
it was really, yeah, the protractor and an old atlas and everything. So the first books that had a profound influence on me were Positive Magic by Marian Weinstein. That came out a long time ago. Starhawk Spiral Dance. And I became initiated into a Wiccan coven when I was 21. So although my path has taken me in other directions since those days, when I reached my Saturn return, which we'll talk about in a bit, I was just about 29. I went to Glastonbury in England and I deepened my studies of the mysteries and was initiated into an Avalonian tradition. And that has essentially shaped my spiritual path to this day. So that's the beginning.
Yeah, that's a lot. And who, I'm just curious, what circle or maybe teacher that did you study with in Glastonbury?
Oh, it's nobody that anyone would know now. It's
Okay.
not someone famous. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
No, just being immersed in that holy land is just amazing.
Oh, it's the heart of my home. I'm the home of my heart. Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
All right. So you're basically studying astrology and getting into your spiritual path in
Mhm.
Glastonbury, and then what really started to get you interested in writing? You
Ooh.
have these two beautifully written books. I just want to tell my listeners here, The 12 Faces of the Goddess and A Lantern in the Dark, which is your recent book. Both are just beautifully written and wonderful books, and I highly recommend that my listeners read them. What motivated you to start writing?
Oh, that's a good question. I've always wanted to write. I I really wanted to become a writer since I was in fifth grade. So that's always been something that I kind of knew was going to happen. So I don't
Yeah.
even know how to put that into words. I mean, it's part of who I am. The first thing I ever published was in Circle magazine. Remember that one? That I
Uh
think
huh.
it's out of print now. Yeah, and then I got a column in Sage Woman magazine, which I wrote for 7 years.
Wow.
And
Oh, that's a long
yeah,
time. Okay.
yeah, it was. Yeah. And I did another column for Banyan Books, actually, the place that I ended up at when I first came to Vancouver. um, I wrote a column for them for 12 years. And I just retired that one about a year ago. It was just a long time. So, yeah, writing has always been a natural vehicle for me to put my thoughts and inspirations into.
Yeah. And so just kind of let's talk about how you weave the archetypal psychology with magic and goddess spirituality. Let's kind of talk a little bit about that because I feel like your books are very unique in that sense that they weave all these things together.
Yeah. Um, well, let's see. How can I answer that? It's a great question. So, archetypes are the mytho-poetic language of the soul. And I think that in recognizing the mythological themes playing out in our stories, we can enter the transpersonal realm where healing, magic, and alchemy can occur and can then begin to consciously embody our personal myth in a meaningful way.
Mm.
So, sacred astrology can help us gain clarity, illuminate our blind spots. And when we connect with the guiding goddess archetypes that arise in our chart, it can bring new layers of insight and guidance. I think that reflecting on the deeper meanings woven into our own stories can be illuminating, integrative, healing, and exploring archetypal stories and myths can help shift our awareness to a symbolic perspective.
Yeah. And it awakens the mythic within each of us, which is a big thing.
Yes.
And I personally
Yes.
came upon that in my first Saturn return. So
Oh, yes. So
that's where
many
my
people
journey
find
kind
things.
of started, but maybe as a kid, but also deeply,
Oh,
deeply
yeah.
changed at that point. So, in astrology, and you can maybe illuminate us as well on the types of like the Saturn returns and the type
Mhm.
of kind of the
Crossroad
crossroads that
times. Yeah.
times that we all go through. How do you weave that into your archetypes I know it's a big question, but I just wanted
No,
to kind
that's
of
okay.
touch on that because it's such a big part of our each of us is that we go through these big thresholds,
Absolutely.
psycho spiritual thresholds in life, and I don't know, it's a big thing.
Oh, it's absolutely a huge thing, and a lot of people aren't aware of it. I mean, I know a lot of people now have heard of the Saturn return, and people dread it when they know that it's coming, or they'll look back on it and say, "Oh my goodness, that's when this happened." But there are other transits that are big like that, and I call those the crossroad transits. So, in astrology, there are psycho-spiritual thresholds, like you said, that occur for everyone at around the same age. So, reflecting on the deeper meanings that are woven into these times and their developmental purpose as well as learning how to navigate these junctures can be empowering and healing and help us align with who we're becoming. So, like we just talked about, the first Saturn return, that one is the first major milestone in the human lifespan. And it occurs approximately between the ages of 27 and 30. It actually happens around age 29, but you start feeling the themes kind of cropping up in your life starting at around age 27. It's usually a tumultuous time for a lot of people when we really need to step up to the plate in some way. We need to make a commitment
Yeah.
and to release whatever is keeping us from growing. So that can include relationships that are keeping us stuck, career paths that are just a no-go for us. And a lot of
Even thought
times,
pattern,
yeah,
like thought patterns.
completely. Yeah. And belief systems.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely
definitely.
a time to lose the distractions and get clear on what's truly important in your life. So that's the first Saturn return. It's often a sobering, contemplative time, but it
Yeah.
really is a time to step into our authenticity and to create an adulthood on our own terms. It really grows you up in a profound way. That's what I have noticed with
Yeah. Oh
most of my
yeah. And that's
clients.
when
Yeah.
most people have left their home or hopefully left
Hmm.
their family home, and they are
Yeah.
starting out on their own and getting a foothold in their lives or career or marriage or whatever. And it's just
Hmm.
such a huge
Oh
journey
yeah.
sort of.
It's true. I see so many people who either commit and get married at their Saturn return, or they decide that the person they've been with for the last 5 years or whatever, they're like, okay, you know what? This isn't
Yeah.
working. So it's either commit or split time for a lot of people,
Yeah.
the Saturn return.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Hmm. And then the
after that,
midlife
yeah,
transits start
yeah. So
coming
I was
through,
just
right?
gonna Oh, yeah. So it's actually a set of four transits, and we know them as the midlife transits. And they begin around the age of 37, so around 7 years after your Saturn return. And they continue till around the mid 40s. So these often coincide with what society calls the midlife crisis. And they can bring deep inner shifts, they can bring depression, restlessness, anxiety. Sometimes people feel a dissatisfaction with the
Hmm.
lives that they've built up to this point. And it is often a critical time for marriages, long term commitments, careers, life direction. People are suddenly going, wait a second, is this what I signed up for? Is this what I really want? So you start asking those big questions. Um, yeah, so there's four of those. And the first one is called the Pluto Square. That one happens between around 37, 38, and 40, right around that area. Then there's the Neptune square, which happens between 39 and 43. The Uranus opposition between 41 and 45. And finally, yay,
Mm.
we wrap them up with the Saturn opposition that occurs around 44 to 45. So each of these transits has its own archetypal flavor, and they do often overlap. But it's important to remember that although life can feel like a bit of a roller coaster during the midlife transits, they do have a purpose. They are transpersonal milestones, and quite often times of self-discovery, personal growth, individuation, and quite often they get us onto the path that we're meant to be on.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we're in a career that's just like not really what we're supposed to be doing, it's like the universe lets us know in no uncertain terms. So yeah.
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 And things change. I mean, gosh, think life speeds up. It seems like as you get older or have reached a certain past your Saturn return, or at least in my opinion,
Mhm.
that just life just takes
Oh,
on a speedier pace, and you're having to make
absolutely.
decisions quicker and face challenges more frequently. It's just anyway.
I just can't believe it's almost winter solstice again. It's like
Yeah.
the year just went woof, where did it go?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, what are some of like getting back to the archetypes and astrology. In terms of astrology, in your first book, you write about the different goddess archetypes for each astrological sign. So how can we, for my listeners, how can we like understand, make a relationship between our astrology sign and then with align with the goddess archetype?
Let's how can we, let me just trying to get the question.
Do we need to have a birth chart done first, or can we just sort of navigate our way through some of these and research some goddess archetypes and then align it with our astrology sign? I mean, your first book does that so beautifully, and I encourage everybody to read Danielle's first book about this, but it's just, to me, I personally align with a few goddess archetypes, and I'm a Taurus, so I don't really, I don't know. I align with
oh, you're a Taurus, yes. So Aphrodite Pandemos is one of the main guiding goddess archetypes for Taurus. But yeah, so I would say no, you don't have to have your birth chart to read either of my books or to work with goddess archetypes. Absolutely not. But that being said, having your chart can be wonderfully illuminating. It can help you to get to know yourself at a level that you might not even have dreamed of as possible. So yeah, I think that one of the things that I would like to remind everyone of is that we all have all 12 archetypes or all 12 signs in our birth chart. Every single chart has all 12 signs. Not everybody knows that. They might know their sun sign. Some people know their sun, moon, and rising, but we have all those 12 signs, which means that we can connect with any of those goddess archetypes as we choose. We can look at our chart and find where in our chart, what house or life area that energy shows up. So that can be super helpful, I think. Yeah. And there are lots of free sites that you can have your chart generated these days online.
Yeah. Well, knowing your chart, your birth chart is helpful, but also just doing some research on, goddess archetypes and delving into goddess spirituality. And one of the another important part of goddess spirituality is sacred ritual, and how we can weave the seasonal influences, the wheel of the year, into our personal life. And so what are some group rituals that you feel are significant? I know a lot of us are Wiccans or pagans, and we follow the wheel of the year and the sabbats, but I'm just curious, how important is sacred ritual in our lives?
Oh, I think ritual is very important in life, and even for secular folks who are not pagan or witches. Getting married is a ritual. Graduation is a ritual. Ritual is deeply interwoven into the fabric of our lives. It can mark important life transitions. It can bring symbolic meaning to our rites of passage. And I think learning the stories of the goddesses that correspond with the seasonal changes and the astrological archetypes can bring deeper meaning to personal ritual and to group ritual, and help us to connect with the magic that is there beneath the everyday, beneath the mundane. So this is one thing that I always love to talk to people about, is that astrology is intimately connected to the wheel of the year. It absolutely is. It begins with spring equinox, and it takes you through all 12 signs, through each of the 8 sabbats of the wheel of the year as well. And every sign corresponds to a particular part of the wheel. So it's all connected, and that is the beauty of it. And when you start to see how astrology and magic are connected, it's like a light bulb goes off.
Yes.
It's all of a sudden, it's like the more you know about one, the more you will intuitively know about the other, because they are all woven with the same threads. So elements was one of them. I mean, every witch knows about the 4 elements, and astrology is made up of, guess what? The 4 elements. And the
entire, and the tarot deck too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I know. I know, it's incredible. And once that all starts coming together, you're like, oh my goodness, this is the meaning, it's the
Yes.
key to the meaning of life. Yes.
Yes, yes, and how
Yeah.
and you and you're yeah, you become enlightened as to how
Mhm.
the threads are all woven together and how complex life is, but how we can look at it through many different lenses in a holistic way.
Mhm.
And part of also ritual, um, and a very important part, in my opinion, is path working and guided meditation. So, you're guided in your books. You have some
Mhm.
beautiful guided meditations, and I just want to just say how much I love them. And as a writer myself
Thank you.
of guided meditation with goddesses, it's just really, it's so beautiful, and I think it's really important for healing. So
Mhm.
healing through our subconscious. Could you talk a little bit about that and how healing, subconscious healing is important?
Hmm. Well, to me, path working or guided meditation is one of the best ways to align with the goddesses and to access non-ordinary states of consciousness.
Right, right.
To engage with with aspects of self and the divine. It's important to remember, like I mentioned earlier, that we all have all 12 signs in our birth chart, and we can therefore connect with any of the faces of the goddess that we most need at any time. So I think that, yeah, I mean, connecting with those goddesses that we are called to for whatever reason. Say, okay, for instance, maybe we need help creating healthy boundaries, or we need help saying no to a specific situation or person. So what I would say is look to Aries and the goddess that is associated with Aries, because Aries is all about standing up for your rights. It's
Right.
about laying down the line and
Yep.
saying, you know
The
what, not
warrior
for me.
spirit.
Exactly. Yes. So, in the 12 Faces of the Goddess, my first book, I chose the Irish goddess Macha. She's a warrior goddess whose name means great queen, and she was a drawer of boundaries. So, yeah, look, connect with Macha if that is something that you're needing to bring. You know, you need to bring that kind of energy into your life. So, learn about her stories, learn about her attributes, what is sacred to her, and do the path working, do the ritual, and really align yourself with that energy. It
Yeah.
could be, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's all about someone may need, and I'm not advocating doing love rituals where you, where you're like,
Right.
bring, I let me have this specific person, but you can do a ritual to bring in the right person. So the
Mhm.
sign with love and relationship, committed partnership, that's Libra. So the goddess that I chose as one of the main guiding goddess archetype for Libra is Lakshmi, and she is the goddess of marriage and devotion
Mm.
and love,
And
and
divine
also
abundance.
absolutely, yes. So so just kind
Hmm.
of, being self-aware and asking yourself, what do I need right now? And then knowing that you can connect with whatever goddess or energy that you need to bring into your life. And pathworking is a wonderful way to do it and drop down to those deeper layers of consciousness and make change.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little bit. You're a therapist, a licensed therapist,
Mhm.
and so tell us a little bit about how you got into therapy and therapeutic
Oh,
counseling. How did that
yes.
all start?
Oh my God, that's a really long story.
Okay, well,
Um,
a brief
I'll try to
synopsis.
make it. I'll try to make it super quick if I
Because
can. Yeah.
you're really integrating astrology and
Hmm.
therapy and path working and archetypes. So you're
Hmm.
weaving it all together in this unique way. I'm just curious how you got started with
Hmm.
psychology.
Yes. Well, okay. As we've been discussing, I've been drawn to the esoteric for a long, long, long time.
Right.
To make a long story short, so I ran away from home.
And that's
I was
interesting.
20. Yeah.
That's a big break
Yeah.
right there. Did that happen
It
at your
really
Saturn
was.
return or before then?
No, no, gosh, that happened when I was 16.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. That's
yeah, it took
early.
yeah, it was a very difficult home life.
Mm-hmm.
My father was bipolar, and
Oh,
it was hard. So
yes.
I left, and I quit school, obviously, and then I didn't get back to school until I was 36. So I lived
Yeah.
a whole life. I was a single parent, everything, and what happened was I came back actually from I went to England quite a few times after my Saturn return, and I came back and I was at a real crossroads moving up to my Pluto square. And I grabbed a book off the shelf because I had a really bad toothache one night, and I need something to read, and it was The Women Who Run with the Wolves by Dr. Clarissa Pinkola Estes.
Ah,
Yeah,
yep.
and
Great book.
yes, I know, and I started trying to read it so many times before that, and it just did not click. But that night, I just opened it where it fell open and started reading, and I read all night until the sun came up. And it was really interesting because it was like everything fell into place, and I said, okay, this is what I need to do. I need to go back to school because I am proficient with astrology and tarot and all of the symbolic systems, but I need to get that education piece if I'm going to really truly help anyone through
Yes.
what they're going through.
Right.
So at the age of 36, with literally no financial support at all, I was a single mom. I upgraded my education, got my grade 12, and then I went directly into university, and I stayed there until I finished. So that's how that all
Wow.
started.
Yeah.
So,
Good for you.
oh, thank
And
you.
then you got your license, your counseling license.
Yes, yes,
Very cool.
yeah.
So, in your practice, in your therapy
Mhm.
practice, do you also integrate astrology and archetypes
I
and path
do.
working?
I absolutely do. I find that we can get much deeper, much more quickly using the birth chart as a guide. My therapeutic approach is transpersonal and Jungian oriented. So, symbolism and personal story is an absolute focus
Yeah.
in my work.
That sounds
Yeah,
very powerful and very effective.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, before we run out of time, what do you got going? Any new books or upcoming workshops or classes or events coming up?
I do actually. Thank you for asking. So, I actually didn't get a chance to talk about the second Saturn return, but I'll just quickly tell you in a nutshell. It happens between 57 and 60.
Okay.
And once again, it's a milestone to maturity every time we have a big Saturn transit like that. So on January 21st, I will be starting my next class, which is called Through the Dark Wood, Navigating Your Second Saturn Return. Um,
Wonderful.
so I'm really excited about that. There's a lot of people that are asking
Yes.
about it. And also, what I'm so excited to talk about is that I'm finally going to be offering a year-long certification course beginning on spring equinox based on my book, The 12 Faces of the Goddess. So
Hmm.
we will be meeting once a month as the wheel turns and the signs change for a deep dive into goddess astrology. So that I'm very thrilled to.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And I love how they tie
Yeah.
in with your books, your these classes and
Yes.
workshops.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Okay, well, that sounds awesome. And it's been a real thrill speaking with you and getting to know your unique vision and work and how you tie your magic and archetypes and psychology with your writing. Do you have a website or social media that you
Yes.
would like to share?
Yes, I do. You can find me at danielleblackwood.com, or you can follow me on Instagram at Danielle Blackwood Astrologer. And I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Mhm.
again. And as the wheel turns towards Yule and winter solstice, I encourage everybody to cuddle up and snuggle inside and read Danielle's books and get a little rest and go within. So blessed be everybody, and thank you again, Danielle. I wish you so much luck and abundance in your all your future endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me, Bridget. It's been really
Yeah.
fun talking to you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you and blessed be. Bye
Blessed
bye.
be.